All right, I'm going to do my best to try and get started here.
Just a second.
So welcome back, everybody. I hope you all had a nice, joyous, and festive holiday break. But I come to you from my amazing studio in beautiful downtown Horsham, Pennsylvania. So I just wanted to go over a couple things. I did send out an email, which hopefully most, if not all of you, have gotten. If you did not get it, I'm sure you did. Just check your email, please. But it's about, kind of what's going on this week. Especially, I had Mr. Folk join in today because we're going to be doing the laptop pickup on Tuesday and Wednesday. So tomorrow and Wednesday. So I would say pick a time that you need to come out. It's between 10 and 3. So I guess I'm going to send out another email after this class notifying your parents and guardians that this is going on too. But I would hope after this class, you immediately need to go down there and talk to them to kind of figure out when you can come and pick it up. So you have Tuesday and Wednesday to do it. I am not going to speculate about next week if we're all back in school. Not that it matters for most of you because you are all virtual anyway. But if for some reason you cannot get a laptop this week, Tuesday or Wednesday, just due to scheduling, or you can't make it out, we will hopefully be in class next week, and we're there every day from 7 to 3, and I'm sure we can figure something out. So referring back to the email that I sent out, I'm going to open this up real quick. Actually, I want to talk about 2 emails, as a matter of fact. The first email, you should have gotten this last week, and it's actually pretty important stuff. It is about, let's see here. It is about career objective forms, it's called. Okay? So I want you to take a look at that and fill it out. So basically, let me explain what it is first. Hold on, I got another kid jumping in. So you should have gotten an email. It should say, let's see, counseling, blah, blah, blah. The email should have started with school counseling 2021. Please complete career objective form survey. So every tech school has to do this. And you have to kind of just go in. It's a 2-second form. And it's about, what your career goals are. So, go in, fill out the form. It's really simple. It's a couple questions. If you pick, photographer and you decide next year you change your mind, you want to do something else, don't worry about it. Just because you signed the form doesn't mean that's what you got to do the rest of your life. But we're just trying to get a basic idea of what it is that you're going to, the direction and the field that you're going to be going in. And we just do that to track your progress and, to offer you, say things like scholarships and internships and things like that. So please make sure you fill that out. But yes, it's called a career objective form. But usually we fill them out in class, but you know why? Obvious reasons we can't do that today. So please make sure you do that. So I sent out this rather lengthy email today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. So give me 2 seconds here. And I'll kind of show you what that email is today, because I would like to go over with it rather briefly. Okay. All right. And I will have the chat open. Actually, Nathan just sent an email. So actually, Nathan, I'm pretty sure I just answered your question for you. But the fact that I'm telling you right now and the fact that I sent an email telling you you can come and pick it up at your leisure either either Tuesday or Wednesday. So you need to just kind of discuss with your parents when that would be a good time for you to make that happen, okay? We were going to do this whole schedule with times and everything, but that's usually a nightmare, and people are late or they can't make it. So I'm putting it out there to you. You have between 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock. But now that I'm sharing my screen with you, you'll actually see I have instructions for everyone now. It seems, I would think everybody here has decent grades. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you, in order for you to pick up this laptop, okay, and I have it all right here, you have to be doing work in the program. If you have a 0 or a 10, there's really nothing that you're giving me that shows that I can give you a $1,700 laptop and expect you're going to do work on it. So, it's a case by case where if I have students that for whatever reasons had a 0, aren't doing daily, you're not doing the daily discussion posts, you're not handing projects in on time, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get a laptop until you show an improvement in the program, and you're still going to work on the projects that you haven't done since the first semester. Which I hate to say, it's unfortunate, but at this point, we do not have enough laptops to go around. So priority will go to the students that are doing the work, doing the projects, doing the daily discussion posts, but don't jump on here with a 10 in my class, or I haven't heard from you in 3 weeks, and expect that you're going to get a really nice, expensive laptop to kind of putz around on all day, okay? So I'm just going to be straight up honest with you about that. Now, if you want to state your case and say, if I get this laptop, I'm going to kill it, I'm going to turn it around, that's fine. But I've been teaching for quite a while, and trust me when I say, if I give kids with bad grades all this state-of-the-art equipment, they really don't do anything with it, okay? Especially without me being around. So make sure you did those quizzes for the Mac OS, you know, the 7 videos and the 7 quizzes. Make sure you're up to date on your projects. I'll tell you right now, hopefully you'll be handing in your floor plan and your written proposal by Sunday night. That's a big project. If you do not hand the project in on time, you're going to be failing the second marking period. And I don't want to put anybody in a position where if you failed the first marking period and you're well on your way to failing the second, you're going to have a bad year. You're most likely not going to pass the year. And then we start having issues with credit denial at your school. Okay. Now, most of you that are on right now, I'm not telling you this because it's most of you are doing the work. This is the pre-recorded, so the students that don't attend these live sessions and hopefully are watching them later get an idea on how serious this is, okay? But as I said before, please make sure you put yourself in a good position to have all your work done, be all caught up, and then give you a great laptop, because next week we're going to start sound. We're going to start working in GarageBand. We're going to start working in iMovie. We're going to do movie clips. We're going to work with footage. We're going to work with sound. So things are really going to start to take off. And it's very important that you show up for these live sessions. And or at least watch them after the fact if you can't make the class. I do understand a lot of you do have some scheduling conflicts. But when I go and teach an entire class on Introduction to Sound and you missed it, and then you show up and ask me questions, it's going to be so hard for me to get you caught up. You know, I can't dedicate an hour to you or half an hour to one student if I have 75 kids, okay? So it's going to kind of be, the ownership's going to be on you to make sure you're you're watching the videos, you're catching up, and you're doing the work. Now, if you do have a laptop and 2-3 weeks goes by and you've done nothing with it, we will be taking steps to get it back. Okay, and give it to students that would use it. Okay, I have to put all these things out there. This was brought to my, you know, my administration, you know, is very concerned about giving out free laptops and to students, especially, you know, that aren't going to be working on the project. So this is the first time we've ever done this. We're hoping it's going to be a great success. We told them that, you know, we absolutely have to have this technology for our students to be successful. So I hope you can, quote unquote, make us all proud and use the technology and do well with it. Does that make sense to everyone? Just head nods? Awesome. Okay. I'm excited. I'll be honest with you. It'll be great to get technology into your hands. I'm sure hopefully you're excited about it too, but we can really get the ball rolling and start learning some really cool stuff here. But like I said before, please put yourself in a good position. Go through your work right now. Take a look. If your grades are behind, you need to contact me, because all the grades for the things that you have, if there's things from the first marking period that you haven't submitted that you want to work on to be able to submit, you have to tell me, because I have to unlock it, because everything is shut down right now for you to be able to get into the first marking period and make up projects. So once again, I'm going to put the responsibility on you to personally reach out to me and express, I want to make up this work so I can get my laptop so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, so that's pretty much everything about that. In terms of pickup, you need to have a parent or a guardian with you, obviously, so they can sign for it. I'll need to see some ID, you know, just to drive. Hopefully everybody's gonna have a driver's license, especially if they're driving there, to be able to sign off for the laptop and to get any, you know, contact information if I don't have it. As I told you before, pickup is between 10 and 3. You can come anytime between the hours. Just give me a call at this number or send me an email and say, yo, McCarthy, I'm on my way. I will be there all day tomorrow and Wednesday, as will Mr. Folk, but we would like a heads up when you get there. So, you know, we're going to have a blue tent outside with a table. We're going to try and follow all the COVID, you know, requirements. We're going to have masks on and gloves. We're going to sanitize everything. But we don't want anybody in the building. We just want you to pull up. We want you to sign the, you know, your parent or guardian is going to sign the paperwork. And then you're going to log into the computer for the first time, just so I can make sure, you know, you can access the computer before you leave, okay? You know, just pull up, give us a honk, and we'll meet you outside. You know, please bring a mask. I'll be excited to meet you, even, you know, when you show up, but please have a mask on, and we'll chit-chat for a couple minutes. And then, like I said, we'll be available for IT help at home. We also have our IT help desk, and they can help you with them too. So we should be good to go from there. In the chat or right now, does anybody have questions, comments, or concerns about any of all that stuff I just covered? Yes, no, everybody good? Head nods? All right, a lot of good head nods there. Okay, so moving on. Coming up this week, like I said, due Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., you will have your floor plan project due, as well as your written proposal. Obviously, the written proposal should have been done first. Some of them still aren't done, but hopefully we'll get that out there and get that completed, and then you can hand in your proposal, and then we should be good to go. We'll take a look at those. We'll critique them. I will be honest and say that I'm a little bit nervous right now in the sense that we only have about 6 or 7 students that sent a written proposal. So if you're sitting here right now and you did not do that written proposal, guess what? What am I going to tell you? Get it done. You got to get it done because you have your project due on Sunday. I've given you plenty of time to get it done. So you have to get that written proposal done as well as your floor plan, and then we can move on to the next project. I also wanted to say that Mr. Folk and I will be sending out a survey for you to fill out, just about progress in the program. What can we do, you know, to improve things, make things simpler, a little bit easier. We did have a discussion that we're going to break our projects down into smaller, more manageable tasks, you know, like daily assignments. So that will begin next week. We'll be breaking things down into 1 and 2 day, which will all be done at the end. It'll still be a 2-week project, but we're going to have little assessments each day. So there's going to be more, like I said, there's going to be more responsibility put on you at this point to go and meet these deadlines. But instead of throwing out this massive project, we're going to break it down into smaller pieces so you know what you're doing and that you can accomplish it. Okay. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to cover a little bit of vocabulary today, and I want to show you a couple projects that I like. But there will be a quiz that's going to go out for Sunday to cover the vocabulary from this section. So I'm going to jump on there real quick. So I'll close that up. As you can see, if you go into section 3, level 2, okay, which if you go to the website here, classroom site, whoopsie, you go to the classroom site, and you go to marking period 2, because that's where we're at. You're all level 1. So here's the lectures from level 1 from the workspace design. Here is the vocabulary that I was talking about, and it's all about, so whether you know this or not, you're working in what's called a vector-based program, Google Drawings, okay? There's also the bigger brother of that program, and it's called Adobe Illustrator. So everybody knows what Photoshop is, correct? I would think at this point, everybody, Photoshop is actually its own word, you know, it's a verb, it's a noun. But, you know, Photoshop is for what? Take a guess. What do you do in Photoshop?
Editing your photos.
Correct. You work on photos, okay? So Adobe Illustrator is just that, and Google Drawings, you're drawing with it. So if I ask somebody to create a logo or a business card or a brochure or a menu or a billboard or a movie poster, you're going to be working in Adobe Illustrator, okay? Now, why is that important in a video, sound, and music program, you ask? Because, you know, whether you know this or not, when you work in this industry, you're going to be asked to do different things that may not relate to music and sound right off the top of the bat or video, but it does. So when you're doing titles and videos, if you're watching ESPN or a football game and you see graphics go across the bottom, it's vector-based graphics, okay? So Adobe Illustrator is like a stepping stone to that. If you're going to create a corporate logo for yourself, which I'm asking everybody to do, if you're going to go and, you know, as I said before, you're in the music or the video business, you're going to want to promote and market yourself as well as your up and coming recording artist. So why would you pay somebody else to do that if you can do it yourself? Because there's a lot of people out there that can multitask and do different jobs. And guess what? If you're good at one or two, they're going to take your client and then, you know, you're going to be out of work. So, you know, I've said this since the beginning, is try to keep an open mind when you're doing these projects. You know, why is this relevant? Why do I have to do this? And if a recording artist comes in to lay tracks down, they're going to say, hey, can you make me a logo while you're at it? Can you design my social media icons and things like that? And you should be like, absolutely, I could totally do that for you. Same goes with the web. You know, you're all wondering why you had to do websites. Well, that's the exact reason why, is because all this content is going to end up there anyway. So, you know, I want to introduce you to some of the important terminology that comes with it, but vector graphics are totally different from what's called a photograph. And does anybody know what, and you can put this in the chat. I'm going to put this question out there. Does anybody know what, you know, I'm going to put it in the chat. What is a photo? What is a photo or a digital image made of? Okay, so just type in your response if you know it. But vector graphics is a really big deal in the terms that the graphics are actually made using math. Okay, I'm not going to get into the whole detail about it. But the cool thing is, Nathan, great job. So they're made of pixels. And if I were to go to, you know, if I were to look up pixels right now, and I go to images, okay? So you can see right here, this is actually a nice little example. Pixels are teeny tiny little squares that make up images. They can have anywhere from 64 pixels all the way up to millions and tens of millions, okay? It depends on the resolution and the quality of the photo. And everybody knows if you have a good image, the pixels look great. And if you have a bad image, you know, you're going to run into issues and you have these pixelated images that don't look very good. But you can see here, these are like really, really zoomed in, and you can see it still works on the principle of a television. Way, way, way a long time ago with tube TVs, they had teeny little red, blue, and green little pixels that would generate your picture. Now, the same thing works on TVs and monitors. They're pretty much the same thing now. And they work on pixels. But the only problem with pixels, okay, and I'm going to put this question is, okay, so here's the next question. So jump right in. Answer this question. I'll give you 2 laptops. Okay. So
I think you sent it to one person.
what's that?
I think you only sent it to one person.
Oh, no. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. My bad. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I'm going to send it to the group. Okay. I was giving like Nathan extra points here. Hold on. All right. Okay, here's a question. What is the problem when you're enlarging a small picture when it comes to pixels? So that's something for you to think about there. Now I'm going to jump back real quick, and I'm going to, okay, and I'm going to show you an example. And this will help you answer the first question. Okay, so Tyrone, great job. Jamil, great job. The quality of the picture gets bad. So when you have an image with pixels, you can only go so big with the quality of the photo that you took. Now here's the beauty of a vector-based image. A vector-based image does not use pixels, okay? So why is that a big deal? If you look here, you want to create your logo with vector-based, and vector-based means the program uses math to generate the logo, the graphics, and the size. So the cool thing is if you really, really, really zoom in, there are no pixels, okay, judging by this image right here. So what does that mean? The beauty of it is I can make a logo the size of a quarter, and then I could make it the size of a billboard, and there's no loss in quality, which is a really big deal. Now, some of the things, you know, let me ask you this, where would be a good example of using vector graphics? Now, this is something, you know, things you would see every day. What are some things you see that maybe would be considered to be using vector graphics? There's a bunch of stuff out there. There's a bunch of places your parents go to every week, and there's tons and tons of stuff with vector graphics in there. Okay. Anybody know? Come on, take a guess.
Restaurants. Or something.
Restaurants, yes. Posters, menus, you know, also any supermarket. Almost every single thing in there has been designed with vector graphics. Okay.
Cars.
Now, something you see driving by every day, some of you may catch them to go from town to town, would be a bus. Any of those vehicle wraps that you see are vector-based graphics. So you could make it on the size of a little toy truck all the way up to an actual full-size 18-wheeler, and you would not lose quality in vector graphics, okay? So that's something really important to kind of think about, okay? That goes back to the fancy word is scalable, okay? A vector-based graphic is scalable. You can go really big, really small, because when you make a logo, you may end up putting your logo on the side of a building. Like when you go through, you know, you'll see banners and, as I said, billboards, and the quality looks great on them. It's because they're vector-based graphics right now. Wendy's, good answer, everybody. So when you see, you go into McDonald's, Wendy's, fast food, all their bags, all their designs are vector-based graphics, okay? Because you can't take pictures. You know, back in the day, you would draw logos by hand, and then you would photograph them or copy them somehow. But you were still kind of limited in the size that you could do, okay? So scalable is you can change it any size without a loss of quality, okay? The next thing I mentioned before, Adobe Illustrator, okay? They're actually so big, you know, just like Adobe Photoshop, they have their own format. It's called .ai, and it stands for Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so it's a document just for Adobe Illustrator. I'll open up Adobe Illustrator tomorrow and show you a couple of graphics that I've created, a few logos, and I'll zoom in and show you how it works, okay? But if you remember, many of you last week, I told you to look into designing your own logo. I gave you a project, and I'd ask you to have that due on Sunday also. It's basically some extra points to create a really cool logo. And there's a video that came with it to show you how to design a logo in Google Drawings. So please also get on that one too. The artboard is that area that you're working on in Google Drawings, okay? Your background, that blank piece of canvas is called your artboard. That's where you're creating art. That's actually a really old term because back in the day you used an actual piece of foam or illustration board, and you paint or drew on top of it to create your logo, okay? Now, when you're creating things on there, like you're doing your floor plan, you're creating objects, okay? You're not saying this is a table, it's a series of shapes to create that table, okay? So if you're looking at it from that perspective, so let me jump on here real quick and go to Google Drive, and we'll go into drawings. Whoop, okay. So actually, here's something I was working on last week for all of you to look at. So I started making a logo, okay? And this was, you know, the basic startings of a camera and a little gleam on the lens and my initials. But I was just trying to give you a basic idea of how you start. So once again, like I said, this is vector-based, okay? You don't see, if I were to zoom in on this thing, you would not see a loss in quality on it, okay? Whoops. But to zoom in on this piece, you can see here, there's no pixels in here. It's nice and sharp, okay? So now, like I said before, you're working with shapes. You know, your shape tools are all right here. So you're taking shapes and you're creating other shapes with them. So if you wanted to create like a, you know, like a sofa, you would use a bunch of circles for the pillows, you would use a bunch of squares, and you would create yourself a couch. It's not like it's something, you know, you could do a freehand drawing, but you use shapes. It's almost like doing what's called like a wireframe, to use shapes to build what you want to create, Okay. So that's what that means. Also, going back here, stacking order is something you'll start to figure out as time goes on. You can actually stack your objects as if they were like 3D. So for example, you want to actually arrange them. Okay. So let's say I wanted to put this star behind here. You would right click on it and then you could, actually it's up here. You can go arrange and then you have the order. So you can send backwards. See what I did? It actually just put that logo, or that, I'm sorry, that shape behind that piece. So, if you think about it, now is that, it starts to create a lot of other ideas for you where you can start to move things around and stack them to the order that you want. You can send to the back and you can just have pieces coming out of the back. You can also bring it back up to the front again. And then you would just go order and bring forward. And then you have your stuff back again, bring it over here. And then once again, you can bring it to the front, okay? So that's a really big deal when you're creating artwork with multiple layers. Same thing in Photoshop, they're called layers. They're also called layers in any of the drawing programs, but the arrangement is a big deal when you're trying to stack and give it like depth or dimension to it, okay? I'll go over one more and then I'll cover the rest because tomorrow, I'll go into these and actually be in the program and give you a better idea. But the selection tool is the last one. So the selection tool for this program is the arrow. The arrow tool gives you the ability to move things around, to be able to change things. So those are your selection tools, okay? As soon as you click on something, you'll see the box show up. That's when you can go in and make things bigger and smaller. Okay, you can actually go click here and then you can rotate them. Okay, so take a little bit of time today, now that I've already covered this vocabulary for you, and start thinking about creating your business logo. And the other cool thing about it is, instead of drawing it and photographing it and showing your logo, you can't go and fix something like that. Could you take it into Photoshop and do some stuff? Sure you could, but it would take forever. So when you're in a drawing program, I could say to myself, well, I really don't like the color of this. Let's go with this. I want to change this around and start working with other colors. Okay. So it's so much more simple to be able to go in and change your graphics with these vector-based programs. Okay. Client comes in and says, I don't like that idea. I liked it yesterday, but I don't like it today. So you can easily go in and fix it. Same thing here. If you don't like the font that you used, you can go in and, change it around, to make it fit inside. Okay. So that's just a little bit of an overview on the vocabulary. Okay. But when time goes on, like I said, you're going to know what these words mean, because a client might say to you, can you make me a logo, but I need it to be an AI file. I need it to be vector based. So you don't sit there and go, I don't know what that means. So we do use a lot of that lingo here in industry, especially in sound and video. We'll go over a bunch of those different terms, especially, in video and sound. There's a lot of different file formats and codecs. Mr. Folk could tell you all about that, but it is important. Mr. Folk actually still goes out to this day, records with artists, and I would think there's a lot of lingo that gets thrown around in recording sessions, correct?
There's a lot.
Cool. So you don't want to show up to a recording session or to a business meeting, and then it sounds like they're speaking another language because you don't know the vocabulary. And actually knowing it at your age is a huge advantage over other people, because they're saying, wow, this person knows the lingo, they're committed to the profession, they know what they're talking about. I'm very impressed. So, take the time. It may seem kind of, a waste of time to go over these words, but it's stuff you're going to use all the time. Just as, what's
Yeah.
that?
In fact, a lot of the jobs that I've gotten are based on talking equipment and shop with the people that I meet. So the more interest you take in that equipment and the more you can talk about it with the people in the industry, the more you're going to be liked.
Cool. Okay, good to know. Just like I said, I always try to make a comparison because my father and brother-in-law are auto mechanics. And, I'll sometimes have them over for dinner and they're talking about cars and stuff, and I have no idea what they're talking about. They're like, oh, you got to advance the timing on this, and you got to check the UTI symbol on that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? I have no idea what they're talking about. But I'll tell you what, if you want to be an auto mechanic, you better know the lingo. So it's just like anything else. Same thing if you worked in a restaurant, if you worked in an office as an accountant, everything has its own vocabulary. So please take the time to kind of catch up and pay attention to the vocabulary that we're covering in here. And we're going to cover it next year too, just because it's that important. But that's pretty much what I had for today. I will be reaching out to some of you personally to have some, now I don't think it's anybody here, but I will be reaching out to students. As I said, please, 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 you need to submit your work on time. We're not going to be extending deadlines anymore. Okay, so you have until Sunday to hand in your proposal and your finished piece. I'm going to start looking at some submissions right now. If you hand it in early, I can look at it and give you feedback in Schoology and say, hey, you did a really nice job on your proposal. I only gave you a 75 out of 100, but if you make these 2 or 3 changes, I will give you more credit and I'll give you the opportunity to revise it. Okay. Most of you should probably know that at this point, but that's all I have for today. If anybody needs, we got office hours starting in a few minutes. Any questions, anybody? Okay. Hopefully I will see some of you tomorrow to come get your laptops. But as I said before, please read that email that I sent today, and please go talk to your parent or guardian as soon as you get off, and go downstairs and let them know when you can come and pick up the equipment. If they have any questions, I will be around, and they can give me a holler. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.